So, what's up, YouTube? It's the BX Baller, part 2 right now. Knicks struggles. Not really struggling, but I'm going to get into that later. So, pretty much, after part 1, Knicks hit a winning streak due to the heroics of Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin put on, like, clinics. Like, when I mean clinics, he put on clinics. First game, 26 points. Second game, 28 points. The game against the Lakers, I know that was the game against the Jazz, he had like 20 something, he had like 25, 26, or 27 points, something like that. Game against the Lakers, 38 points. 38 points in his sophomore year. 38, yes, against Kobe. Kobe only dropped 33. Kobe after the game was like, oh, now I know who Jeremy Lin is. Enjoy it now, because guaranteed next year you're going to get judgment. Kobe's judge and jury, by the way, but I'm going to get into that probably in a later video or something like that. So, then they keep on winning. He gets a game-winning shot in Toronto, and the Knicks keep extending the winning streak, and it ends with the Hornets, unfortunately. Then, after that, the Knicks hit a skid. The Knicks won one game, then they lost the next. They won another. They lost the next. Amari went out with, due to his brother passing away, unfortunately. And then Melo was hurt with a groin injury. Melo came back. That's when the Knicks hit the major skid. They would win maybe 2 in a row and then lose like maybe 3 in a row. So now I'm fast forwarding to this part recently. So the Knicks went on a 6 or 7 game losing streak. But then those 6 games, the Knicks lost to great teams. First they lost to the Celtics for their first or second loss. Then they faced the Mavericks at home at Dallas, and they lost due to some horrible officiating on both sides. I'm not going to say that call went against the Knicks, but actually it did because, you know, Dirk traveled in that game. But that's besides the point. Then they went to San Antonio and they got spanked. Then they stayed on the road for a few games, and those games that they should have won. For instance, the game against the Bucks, they should have won that. And there was a few other games that the Knicks lost, and it was like, why are you losing to such bad teams? The game against the Sixers, pretty much was Mike D'Antoni's last game in his Knicks career, because that extended the losing streak to 7. The Knicks were not supposed to lose to the Bucks nor the Sixers. They were supposed to lose to maybe the Celtics. They were supposed to beat the Celtics, honestly, in my opinion. They have the better team on paper, but I'm going to get to their roster sooner or later. Then they were supposed to lose to the Mavericks, maybe, because the Mavericks get revenge, and the Spurs are still a well-respected, even though they're old, but they're a well-respected team. So they were not supposed to lose to the Bucks and the Sixers. Don't ask me why they lost to both of those teams. So then, I forget the date, it was last week, Mike D'Antoni resigned after the Sixer game. The Knicks were supposed to play the Blazers next. Mike D'Antoni resigned. I hear it was a number of issues. I think that he didn't resign, honestly, or he knew he was about to get fired. Or maybe Dolan sent him the, you know, the "you're fired" slip, or I don't know what they call it nowadays. But maybe he sent him that. And he resigned. And then there was rumors that Carmelo wanted him out. It was either him or Melo. You can always get another coach. The Knicks have another coach right now, Mike Woodson. And you can't really get another star. You can't really get another Melo. The only good small forwards out there in the East, honestly, is Danny Granger, LeBron, and Melo. That's it. Small forwards in other conferences such as Durant, but he's like the only one, honestly. So pretty much that ends the Mike D'Antoni era. So now we're into the Woodson era. So the game against the Blazers, the Knicks came out blazing against the Blazers. They came out on fire. They came out with a will to win, a must-win attitude, and they looked like a team. Mike Woodson has these Knicks playing old-school Knick basketball. No blood, no foul, swarming defense. The Knicks are a defensive team right now. I'm gonna prove it to you by this. The Knicks won against the Blazers. They beat the Blazers by 42, and I don't think the Blazers shot over 40%. I think they got lower to maybe 20%, 30% maybe. So he has them playing defense. Then the next game, I think they faced the Pacers. Yeah, that makes sense. They would have faced the Pacers, I think. Yeah, they faced the Pacers for the next game. So at the Garden, Danny Granger came out talking out his mouth, saying that, oh, these are two winnable games, and the context he used it was that these are two easy games. Mari Stoudemire took that personally and pretty much said that he better watch what he asked for. And the Knicks beat them by like 20 something. No, they beat them like 16. No, they beat them by 32. I remember seeing the Sixers game today. They beat them by 32. And then the next game was a home series. They went to Indiana. The Knicks blew them out again. They still played great defense, but the third quarter is really killing the Knicks. But I'm gonna get into that later. But they beat them by 16 at Indiana. Then they faced the Raptors, and they spanked the Raptors by 23. And then last night they faced the Sixers. Played swarming defense. They held the Sixers in the first quarter to 13 or 18%. Mike Woodson has the Knicks playing old school 90s Knicks basketball, and it's very fascinating to watch right now. By the way, the Knicks won last night by 3, so they're 5-0 under the Mike Woodson era. Melo's looking happy. Stat is looking like old Stat. Tyson Chandler is playing well. Jerry B. Lin's playing well. Landry Fields has taken advantage. Melo's really reduced his scoring, but he's becoming like a role player. And it's great to see that the Knicks are not struggling. They're actually playing as one cohesive unit. They actually have continuity, like Walt Clyde Frazier likes to say. It's very good to see right now that finally my Knicks are playing like a team. We played like a team sometimes on the Mike D'Antoni, but honestly, the difference is defense. Defense, I've been saying this for the longest. Defense wins championships. And the Knicks, since the beginning of the season, have turned into a defensive team. Their defense was better than their offense. That's saying something. Put Mike Woodson as head coach. Put Mike D'Antoni as assistant. Your defense is overshadowing your offense. If you look at the statistics right now, the Knicks are playing like they're in Mike D'Antoni's system. What are they scoring? Like 110, 111 points per game? And they're holding teams to maybe under 80 points per game. Those are championship contending numbers, honestly. Now, there's some problems with the Knicks. J.R. Smith needs to find his shot a little more consistently. Steve Novak's been great off the bench. Baron Davis has been set back with a little bit of injuries, but he's been playing decent. Jared Jeffries, I heard he went down last night, but he's been playing coming back. He played key factor in the Knicks defense, and that pretty much, I think this pretty much sums up the Knicks 5-0 start. Very surprised. I was watching the Sixers game because I was chilling last night, pretty much. So I was out hanging out, but pretty much I saw the Sixers game today. I came back home from school, and I was seeing that the Knicks were playing swarming defense, and it was very surprising. The Knicks in defense usually don't get along. The Knicks in many things don't usually get along. But they play swarming defense, and there was one possession. I forgot who got the ball. I think it was either Drew Holiday, Thaddeus Young. It was one of the Sixers players. I think it was Meeks. He got the ball. He was bumped by Amari, and then he ran into Chandler, and Chandler kind of almost threw him to the floor. No blood, no foul, Charles Oakley days. That's a good thing to see. Foul someone, make sure they don't hit the layup. But pretty much this sums up this Knicks recap of the season. Hopefully a sports blog, there's more sports blogs are coming out. Maybe some MLB news, maybe some NFL news, since Tim Tebow's on the Jets right now. Andy Pettitte came back to the Yankees, so there's a lot of news to cover and stuff like that, especially with the Knicks. So the Knicks are 8th seed right now, by the way. They're hunting for that Atlantic Division title, I found out today. But pretty much this sums up this video. So this is the BX Baller. You already know.